When you first arrive in a country, there are so many new and different things to take in. Before they become too overwhelming, before your plane sets down, before you leave this country, there are a few things you should know before you go. Your introduction to a new and different culture begins as soon as you enter the plane and take off. The familiar and the comfortable are left behind. The new and the different await you. It's important that you adopt an open and a receptive attitude as you allow God to stretch you and expand your horizons. You'll learn more than you teach. You'll receive more than you give. To get started, as you arrive in the country, here is what you might expect.
I remember as the plane touched down in my new field of service, the land of Haiti. I was excited to be a part of Wesleyan World Missions in this new country. And then the heat hit me in the face. And then as I stepped off the plane, I remember thinking, why are there so many slums here in Haiti? And as we made the trip to our mission station in Port-au-Prince, I thought, why are they taking us through the slums? And it wasn't until months later I realized that these were the ordinary homes of Haitians who lived in this capital city where 2 million people were squeezed into a small land mass. I met Haiti through the eyes of a grateful mother because her child had been healed in the hospital on La Gonave. I saw Haiti through the eyes of an old man praying in church on Sunday morning, talking to God as though he were his best friend. I saw Haiti through the eyes of missionary-trained nurses who were treating their patients with love and compassion. And I saw Jesus Christ in the eyes of missionaries who poured out their lives for the Haitian people. And I realized that this is missions, not so much a different culture, but Jesus Christ alive in the lives of missionaries and Haitians, making a difference in their world.
We always need to keep in mind that we are guests in another person's country. You are a volunteer assisting in service as a short-term missionary. Probably the most important way to consider yourself is as a learner, even though you have unique skills to offer.
You will enjoy learning to eat new food. I well remember my first experience of eating cow stomach. The Swazi lady gave me a piece of cow stomach. I looked at this meat she offered me. I looked at her, and I thought, this lady really eats this. This is people food, and I am a person. Therefore, I can eat it too. And I did.
In some countries, men and women never eat together. These customs may appear to be very strange, but you'll adapt to them. Titles are very important in some countries. You will say nurse so-and-so or teacher so-and-so, and children will never refer to adults by their first names. Remember, you are a visitor in this host country, so be very sensitive about the politics. It is wise to remember that a chief with his counselors sitting under a tree are doing the job of governing their people just as effectively as our politicians who work in very different circumstances.
Be a learner, be a partner in ministry. As you do this, you will be building bridges of trust, which will earn you the right to also be a leader and a teacher.
Ways of doing things is only one of the many things you'll encounter as you experience a new culture. Experience is a key word here, because there are a few things you just can't prepare yourself for before you go. What can you do? Be open, be flexible, learn from the experience and cultural sensitivity of others.
We need someone who is going to be culturally sensitive.
Most of us have grown up in this country, the country of our birth, and we're not really aware of culture. But when we go to another country, we discover that people's cultures are very different from our own. There are many aspects of their way of life that is extremely different from what we're used to.
A very visible way that we show our respect for a new culture is in the way that we dress. And ladies especially have to be very sensitive to the culture that they're going into in the way that they dress. And it's always wise to learn what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. The people are loving and kind and they'll forgive you for much, but it's just best for you if you learn ahead of time how to dress.
Also here in North America, we speak very casually about government officials and leaders, and often in a way that could be interpreted as disparaging of them. But as we go to other countries, we're the guests there, and it's tremendously important that we speak only with respect about the people who are in government positions.
When you go into a new culture, or at least many of the cultures where we've been, you are immediately faced with many people asking you for something. So it might be best to know ahead of time to ask for some advice before you make promises or give money out freely in the new culture. The people that have been there and understand will be able to help you with that.
As you serve, you will discover that there are so many aspects of culture that will be new to you, and it will be a great learning experience for you, and you must be very sensitive to the cultural differences that there are in people in the places that you serve.
Someone has said missionaries are not perfect. When you get there, you'll have no doubt in your mind. Well, as you might have guessed it, volunteers are not perfect either. We all come from a variety of mindsets and backgrounds. Each of us have strengths and weaknesses. We all battle loneliness and get tired after a hard day on the job. But our overall purpose is to serve Jesus Christ. We need to do everything possible to maintain that unity of purpose and thought.
As short-term volunteers, I think one of the most important things to remember, even as you're planning to go to another country, is to keep up with your devotional life. And often that can be hard after you go to another country.
My day usually started probably at 7 o'clock in the morning with people at the door, and it can continue until 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. So it is very difficult sometimes to get time alone, even though we all believe that it is needful. Another important thing besides keeping our hearts in tune with God is to be sure that we are showing Jesus Christ through our life. That when people come to us, they see Jesus Christ.
Sometimes the language barrier is there. Sometimes the customs barrier is there. For instance, in Sierra Leone, it isn't usually proper for women to talk to big men or to men in high office. So often our smile and just our willingness to be involved in their lives in simple ways are the only way we can communicate Christ's love.
As a gospel co-worker, coming to a particular field, you're going to experience some new types of stress. Stress related to the country you're going to, the different culture. Just going downtown, sitting in line for hours trying to get somewhere can become very stressful to you.
Having a ready smile and taking time to greet the people is very important. Wait patiently in line for your turn as you go through customs, and be polite in eating the food that the nationals may serve you, even though you've never eaten it before. Don't be afraid. The missionaries will tell you what you should and should not eat. I can guarantee you that if you go where the Lord sends you with a smile on your face and the willingness in your heart to serve the nationals and the missionaries, your time on the field will be rewarding.
The on-the-job experience is where the right attitude is most important, both toward the missionary and the person in whose country you're serving.
When Rox and I first got to Africa, an older and wiser missionary came to us and stated that if you're going to be successful as missionaries, you have to have a spirit of humility in order to be able to serve other people. And at first I really didn't understand what he was talking about, but he was saying that many times because we have these degrees, we come from the States, we have all the answers. But he said that's not always true. We need to go into a new culture with an attitude of we're here to be learners as well. We need to be able to reach out to people and love them in the name of Jesus Christ. And that takes humility in order to do that. And so we feel that if we're going to be successful as missionaries and successful as workers for Jesus Christ, that humility must come forth and the people must sense that from us at all times.
As people see that you are willing to serve in whatever you are asked to do, they too will get the idea that they can voluntarily serve in helping to build God's kingdom. When you arrive on the field, be ready to work. Know what your job is and who you are responsible to, and then do whatever you are doing to the best of your ability. Have the attitude that nothing is below your dignity. And lastly, it's impossible to know what mission life is like till you get there, so you'll need to be flexible.
Volunteers need to be team players. You not only come to help with specific projects or field needs, but you need to feel a part of the ongoing ministry of mission and church.
When you go to the mission field, one of the things that you might want to do is become aware of the mission goals and philosophies. And I think that'll really give you an edge on understanding where the mission is going.
We're working with a different culture, a different language, different resources than what we're accustomed to in North America. And there's a lot of years that those missionaries maybe have spent on the field, and they've learned all of these things. And so try and be aware of those differences and try and work together as a team.
And I think you'd be understanding that the mission may sometimes have different goals and challenges before it that are hidden and may need a little bit of uncovering to understand. So as you go, just to ask questions is the neatest thing, the best way to be able to understand where the mission is going and to be able to feel much greater part of what the mission really wants to do as a total picture.
Remember that even though you're a volunteer, you're still under the authority of Wesleyan World Missions and its field and church representatives. Keeping this relationship clear will help you avoid problems in the future. The Smart Pack is designed with field-specific information that you'll need to keep in mind as you plan your trip. It's a travel guide to assist you in reaching the country you're going with a minimum number of problems.
We urge you to take the Smart Pack that applies to the field where you will be visiting, study it carefully, and follow the recommendations that you will find that give you guidance for your preparation and your service there. There are pages and paragraphs of valuable information. For instance, there will be some history giving you a background of the country, and you can understand more about the politics, the people, the customs, and the various information that will help you to be more aware of that land to which you are going. We want to talk to you about the passport and visa requirements. Also, there is information regarding the necessary and recommended immunizations that will keep you well in spite of health threats in that land. We want to talk to you about the travel discounts that we know about, and we can give you telephone numbers and names and persons that you can contact to get what we believe would be the very best travel arrangement. We can talk to you also about the costs on the field to which you are going. We'll talk to you in the Smart Pack about the weather in that country. We'll give you the high average temperatures for this time of year in which you will be going, and the average low temperatures. We want to talk to you about the Faith Fund. We are able to give receipts from our department, and you can share with your friends or your sponsoring church so that we can work together on a budget, and you can share this with those who would be contributing. And we just want you to study and to work with this Smart Pack.
How about some more fine points to this experience? We'll just highlight a couple here. Again, be sure and read more about them and other trip information in the Smart Pack. Write it down. When there are so many new experiences coming at you all at once, You'll need to take time to write them down so that you can remember them later. Record what you did, who you met, what God taught you through experiencing a different culture and through studying His Word. Try to get correct spelling of people's names, churches, towns, etc. What is familiar now may be hard to remember later.
Although you may be in the country a relatively short period of time, as soon as you learn of the pressing needs and prayer concerns, write them down on a postcard or letter and send it home. Your family, friends, and/or sponsors are anxious to hear how you're doing. They're thinking about you. And the arrival of your card or letter bearing a foreign postage stamp takes the country to them and allows them a fresh and vital participation in your ministry through intercessory prayer. Now, you may not be a person that enjoys keeping a diary, but please, while serving in the country, maintain a daily journal or a travel diary. Jot down names, places, experiences, impressions, so that upon returning home you can relive as you tell and retell of your service and your experience in another culture. One other thing that's perhaps obvious, but occasionally the obvious gets overlooked, and that's this. Please be careful to maintain a record of your expenses. You'll want to cover all the costs while in the country and leave no unpaid bills behind. For I'm sure that, like the Apostle Paul, that you want no stain on your service, and that indeed you want to be a workman of God that needs not to be ashamed.
Get a book or receive some training on taking good slides and videos. You'll want to take as many pictures as you can in the first 2 weeks, when things are new and fresh. As you take those pictures, here are a few things to keep in mind.
Earlier in this video, we discussed the importance of being sensitive to the host culture. Respect and appreciation for the people and their culture is an important attitude to have in everything you do, including the pictures you take. Take pictures that people would be proud to know that you are going to show to your friends and family back home. Look for the uniqueness and the beauty of the people and their country. Capture on film the events of life and the people involved in these events.
In each country and culture, there are things you should and shouldn't do when taking pictures. In many countries, you cannot take pictures of government buildings or military personnel. People will love having their picture taken in many countries, while in some they may not. So it is best for you to ask your hosts for guidelines and suggestions in how to take appropriate pictures.
Of course, you will want to take pictures of your work on the field. A good photographer takes lots of pictures. Take pictures in sequence, before, during the work, and after. Take pictures of people further away and then close up. Your pictures want to show movement, action, and progress. Try not to line up people. Show them doing the work. And don't forget to take pictures of yourself, you working and mingling with the people. You don't want to get home and have people ask, where were you and what were you doing when everyone else was working?
You've taken these pictures. Now what are you going to do with them? You will want to show your friends and relatives and church people back home what you've been doing while on the field. So plan and organize how you want to present your pictures. Plan your presentation while on the field, and then take pictures to work your plan. If you will plan and organize your presentation while on the field, when you get home and present your program, people will enjoy it.
Make this cross-cultural experience a positive one. Leave a lasting impression on those you serve as they see Christ in your life. Yes, there are some things you can't possibly prepare yourself to meet. There's a lot of exciting unknowns out there. Your life will be changed. Begin now to be open to that change. Allow God to help you stretch to meet the challenge. He will give you the grace and the love you need as you prepare for the days ahead. To know before you go.